Does child support in Oklahoma include sports or athletic costs? I'm Tulsa attorney James Wirth, and that's the question that we have. It's part of a series that we're doing related to Oklahoma child support. And that question is for today, does the child support amount include costs for sporting teams, athletics that the children are involved in? And the answer is that base child support does not. The Oklahoma child support guidelines by themselves do not include those costs in. So generally the practical result of that is that the parent that is wanting the child to do those things, if they can't get an agreement from the other side to put in money for that, usually that parent has to pay it. However, there is an exception. The Oklahoma child support guidelines do have a section in them related to deviating from the guidelines. And under that section, there's a specific provision related to special expenses. And in that includes sporting costs, athletics. So you can request that the court deviate from the child support guidelines to add in those special expenses and to require the other parent to pay their pro rata share of that. Most of the time, the courts go along with the Oklahoma child support guidelines and do not deviate, but in the right circumstances, they can deviate for certain things, including sports and athletic costs. Now, how does the court decide whether to deviate or not? Well, as it relates to those types of costs, what the court's primarily going to be looking at is what of the history of the kids engaging in this sport. If they've been involved in this extracurricular activity, sport or athletics for a long period of time with the agreement of both parties, just because the parties are splitting, is that a good reason for it to stop? That's going to favor the court saying we should deviate to allow the cost to be split as part of child support pro rata between the parents. The other thing is the financial ability of the parents to pay. Obviously, if one parent does not have the financial ability to pay, it's going to be more difficult for the other parent to say that they should pay their pro rata share, even though their pro rata share may be smaller due to their making less money than the other parent. And the other thing is, does the child have a particular exhibited aptitude? Is the child really good at this sport or athletic activity? If so, then that can favor the court ordering a deviation from the guidelines for the parents to split those costs. So to answer the question, are costs associated with sports and athletics part of child support? They are not. However, you can request a deviation from the guidelines in order to require the other party to pay their pro rata share of those costs. But most of the time, the court doesn't do that, but under the right circumstances, they may. If the parents have the financial ability, then the child has a history of participating in that sport with the agreement of both parties, and the child shows an aptitude. Those three factors favor the court deviating, but the court does have discretion, is not required to deviate, and most of the time, under most circumstances, courts generally avoid deviating from the Oklahoma child support guidelines. All right, if you've got a question about that or something else related to Oklahoma law, you're going to want to talk to an attorney about it privately in order to get your specific information to determine what is most likely to happen in your case or what is the best for your circumstances. To get an appointment with an attorney scheduled with my office, you can go online to makelawEasy.com.